Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're going to be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast in our 20th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things in our San Diego County region, whether it's food insecurity or whether it's the arts, Alzheimer's, or homeless. They are on top of their game. We're honored to have a community icon in our studio. He is doing his initial podcast, which is really hard to believe because this guy's been around for a while and is on top of his game in so many different areas. And we got Ivor Royston, managing a member for Carson Royston Group. How you doing, Ivor?
I'm doing fine.
Good. And joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is in her 4th year co-hosting the Spotlight on the Community Show, which I'm forever grateful. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc.
Great.
Yes. Kristen, why don't you get us started?
Let's do it. So, okay, as I said, it says here, biotechnology development and theatrical productions. Where do you want to start?
Okay, well, you probably want to know why those two.
Yes, I mean, it's, it's
Okay.
a rare coupling.
I can explain that a little bit.
Great.
Please do.
First of all, I'm a medical doctor by training. I went to Johns Hopkins Medical School, as you pointed out.
Right.
And I became a cancer doctor. I'm a medical oncologist by training. And then got into biotech. I started the first biotech company in San Diego.
You did,
and potentially create, it's
and what was the name of it?
Industry, Hybritech.
Absolutely, I remember.
Yeah, and so from there we have one of the strongest biotechnology industries in the entire world located right here in San Diego. So I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of laryngitis.
No
as
worries.
Giuliano says.
You sound great.
In his podcast.
Yeah.
But I hope I don't end up in a ventilator. So.
No, you'll be fine.
No, I'm fine. I'm on the mend right now. A little bit of laryngitis, but yeah. So as a medical oncologist, I I joined the faculty at UCSD when I finished my training. The training after Hopkins was at Stanford University, and then I came down to San Diego, and after I've been practicing medical oncology at UCSD quite a number of years, and when you're dealing with cancer patients, it's not easy because many of the patients die, and for me, the theater has always been an escape, the other side of things of enjoying life through the theater and seeing, and so I became passionate about theater over the years. And I joined the board of the La Jolla Playhouse as a result.
I've been employed there for many years.
Oh,
so.
very good.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and I even got involved with co-producing one of the plays, musicals that came out of the La Jolla Playhouse. That's Jersey Boys.
Oh, nice.
So
good one.
That's a pretty good one.
And I have it. Yes, and I received the Tony Award for that, being a co-producer.
Very cool.
Yeah, congratulations.
But yeah, so they don't go. You wouldn't think of going together, but they're just two facets of my life.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing over the recent years is, biotech innovation, starting new companies, being involved with funding new companies through a venture capital firm that I created called Forward Ventures. It's no longer operating now, but for 20 years we've been starting companies in San Diego and also starting my own companies. And at the same time, I've gotten more involved with theatrical productions because of my passion for the theater. So that's what Carson Royston Group does.
Got it. But you know what? I always would love to ask this question when I see different types of the brain work. Is how do they mesh together? There is a connection between what you've done in the biotech field, in the medical field, and in theatrical. Is there not what connection would you say?
Jonas Salk often talked about the
100%
of connecting art and science. they go really hand in hand with creativity and innovation, and you need both. And in the community, your focus on the community, you have to have a vibrant good cultural environment as well as a vibrant innovation community.
Yeah, there's no question about it. One of the stories I love to talk about, as you and I just sort of met over the phone recently, even though I certainly know a lot about you, Ivor, is the fact that I was involved in developing curriculum for San Diego Unified a billion years ago, yada, yada, yada. And then, of course, everything is sort of moved to STEM and then now STEAM. But the two biggest proponents of STEAM, I was in a meeting with Harvey White.
That's right.
And Pete Garcia. Did you know Pete at all?
But I knew Harvey quite well.
Exactly. So, co-founder of Qualcomm, and Pete Garcia was CEO, founder of Mechanical Engineering. Actually, Pete and I served on the Avid board together for many years. But Pete's an artist. And here are these two engineers, okay, absolutely said, if you don't have the A in the STEAM, there's something wrong on this thing, which of course is passionate about you. When did you know? Where was the epiphany that I really want to get into the theater and the theatrical arts? Did something just hit you over the head, or you've always been interested in this?
Or a particular production?
No, I think it was when I came to San Diego in 1978, and in the 1980s. I got to know La Jolla Playhouse,
of course,
and I think that's when it all started. When I really enjoyed the time while I was at UCSD, actually, but the time spent seeing theater and be realizing that's the art form that I wanted to gravitate to supporting and to being involved with.
Right, exactly. What do you like most about the theatrical component? Is it the writing? Is it the directing? Is it the building? Is it all of the above? What do you like the most?
Well, doing it, I guess it's sort of like a hobby. I wouldn't call it a profession right now, but I mean, I really enjoy the challenges of building a play from the scratch, which is what I'm doing right now, and it is based. The play I'm working on right now, called The Cutter Incident, is based on an incident that took place with Jonas Salk when he was developing the polio vaccine. So I'm starting that from scratch. I had to commission the play. I got a Pulitzer Prize-winning writer. I had to hire a new director, which I was able to do by getting Des McAnuff involved, the former artist. So, that's been an exciting part of what I've been doing. But when I go to the theater, and I was in New York last week, and my wife and I, she thought I was crazy, but we saw 4 plays within 4 days on Broadway. But I really enjoy going to the plays and seeing all the different kinds of plays, whether they're non-musical plays or musicals. And of course, you don't have a good play unless you have a good book, a good writing.
Right.
And that, I think, is the real core for theater.
Right. Do you consider yourself a better writer than a
No, I'm not a good writer at all. I can write a medical paper, but I cannot write a play. And I cannot write. I haven't written the kind of things you do. I haven't done any writing.
Is that interesting? We're talking to Ivor Royston. He's a managing member of Carson Royston Group, the founder of Hybritech. Anybody that knows the name Royston knows that heavily involved in the biotech area and in theatrical, working with Des McAnuff. What's the name of the play?
The Cutter Incident.
And
Cutter.
And it's coming out. It has come out.
And it's been green lighted by the La Jolla Playhouse to premiere next year.
Very cool.
We have a draft of the play. It's continually being revised, but we had a reading in New York last week. So you'll hear about it as it's announced by the La Jolla Playhouse for the 27-28 season.
Right.
The Cutter, and it's the Cutter Incident. Cutter was the name of a pharmaceutical company back in the 50s. That was one of the pharmaceutical companies that was licensed to make the polio vaccine, but it didn't follow this protocol.
Oh.
And some of the patients got live virus.
Oh. Wow.
And that created a tremendous despair in Jonas Salk, who said, I told you I wanted to be in charge of the manufacturing, not just developing the vaccine. He told the United States, whatever the agency was.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we have to be in control. The government has to be in control of manufacturing. Well, they screwed it up.
Yeah.
And that's that whole incident, the dramatic incident, is the core of the play.
I think that's Well, first of all, I can't wait. You're the playwright. You're the actress. You're the everybody in between.
You can audition. We're going to have auditions for that.
I'm more interested in the behind the scenes. I used to
Right.
teach playwriting at
Right.
La Jolla Playhouse, so
Right.
I'm so curious about the writing. What a great meld of not only your background, but for San Diego, that's so
Right.
steeped in this biotechnical.
And you have the Salk Institute here, so
Exactly.
that's really
I mean, I think
important
that
that it started
Perfect
in San,
convergence.
it
Such a
started,
perfect
started
pairing.
in San Diego.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's go back to New York. What'd you see? What'd you like?
Okay, I saw three musical plays and
Okay.
one musical.
All right.
The non-musical plays we saw Proof.
Okay.
With Io Debris,
read it a couple times.
the
Yep.
woman that stars in the Bear.
Uh-huh.
And we liked that.
Yeah.
And I saw a play called Becky Shaw.
Okay.
Which I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw Fallen Angels, the play by Noel Coward, 100 years old,
Mm-hmm.
that starred two great actresses, Kelly O'Hara and Rose Byrne.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw one musical, which was unbelievable. We had never seen Moulin Rouge, and it doesn't have a great book or story, but it was so entertaining, and it was one of the first week that Megan Thee Stallion was performing
interesting.
in the show, and the audience went crazy.
Yeah.
So it was very, very entertaining. So we liked that, but the story, of course, was a little bit lacking.
Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah. It's not my favorite, but yeah, I could see with the star appeal also it being very.
But I saw they just announced the Tony Award nominations, and unfortunately, Io Debris was passed over. I mean, she didn't, which was a big surprise because she did a good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
We come back from break. We're going to continue the conversation with Ivor Royston, managing member of Carson Royston Group. I'm going to ask you, how does it go from somebody who is a medical oncologist working in the space of cancer, doing a whole bunch of stuff, and then doing the biotech, and all of a sudden now you have to sit there and catch a lot of criticism, possibly on how you write stuff, how you direct stuff, and all that business. I'm always fascinated about how people make that transition. When we return after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 60-plus years of doing great things in the community. They're all over the board, whether it's the arts or whether it's financial literacy, working with the homeless and so forth, joined by Ivor Royston. He is the managing member of Carson Royston Group, joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She's the executive director of San Diego Writers Inc. Kristen.
Yeah, so we've been talking about the La Jolla Playhouse. Can you talk about what Innovation Night is for people who may not know?
Innovation Night is actually an event that happens every year at the La Jolla Playhouse. It's something actually that I founded many years ago when I was on the board of the La Jolla Playhouse. And the idea was to bring the tech community, whether it's high tech, biotech, whatever, together with the La Jolla Playhouse as a way of introducing them to La Jolla Playhouse again to bring that whole community, make that whole community know what was going on at the La Jolla Playhouse. And I saw a tremendous amount of innovation going on at the La Jolla Playhouse in terms of theatrical stuff.
Oh, yeah.
One of the, I can give many examples of that, but when Des McAnuff was the director there, and I just saw the parallel there between the innovation that we tried to do in tech versus the theater.
Yeah.
So they was bringing that together. Now that model is being copied by all of the major arts organizations, whether it's the opera or the symphony. The symphony has Discovery Night, and the opera had Life Science Night at the opera, but we started it at the Playhouse with Innovation Night.
Yeah, and did you have a hand in Discovery Night at the Symphony also?
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
Now let me explain to you about the Carson. You haven't asked me yet about the Carson and Carson.
Yes.
Carson is my wife.
Right.
So she's the other partner here because she also loves art and but different forms of art, and also she has a healthcare background. Also, she was a master's trained nurse, and was actually president of the Nurses Foundation, the Oncology Nursing Foundation. I met her as a cancer nurse.
I was going to say,
at
yeah.
Stanford. Very nice career there, but she's involved with the symphony. So as the spouse, me, they wanted to say, okay, how do we do something like Innovation Night? And they leaned on me, and my wife leaned on me to get that going a little bit. And of course, we honored Irwin Jacobs as the first, not only is he the endower of the symphony,
right,
but we honored him as the first recipient of the honor of the Discovery Night. We honor a different person each year. Yeah. And so I got involved through the Carson and Carson Royston.
Very nice. Yeah.
When we were talking on the phone a couple of days ago, Ivor, one of the things that is passionate for me, and as Kristen knows, is innovation. I've been working with the Classroom of the Future Foundation since its inception in 1997. We're having our 23rd annual Innovation Education Awards coming up at SeaWorld. Yeah, we're proud of that. And the idea is to shine a light on great innovation that's going on in the classroom. And there's a ton of it, and we just have to shine a light. And there's nothing more important than making sure kids are curious, and curiosity, obviously, you were in your DNA, of course, from what you've done and so forth in that area. But I do want to get back to something. I'm always interested when people, do maybe not that huge of a shift change, but we are, medical oncologist, Hybritech, and now in the theater. I always ask this question. I'm a former writer in journalism, sports writer. If you don't have thick skin in the world of writing, okay, or maybe even producing, you're in the wrong field, correct? Was it hard for you to, when people were giving you feedback, or no, you were used to it when you were doing your research with medical oncology?
Yeah, but what was really hard, which you probably didn't realize, was when I started Hybritech, and I was on the faculty of UCSD, and people, my peers, were saying, you can't start a company while you're an academic. And I had to break that barrier, and that was really hard.
Right.
But once I got through that, it's been repeated now countless number of times.
As it should be.
And so that was a major barrier in my life, and there were a lot of negative things said about me, and an investigative journalist for the Union Tribune following me around the city.
I think I know who it is. It's my former colleague. Right. Yeah.
And so that was a hard time in my life.
Yeah. I got it. So talk about working with your wife, with the Carson. How do you enjoy doing that?
Well, we separate things, of course.
Of course.
But she does her thing, and but she's more, she's involved with the Museum of Contemporary Art, whereas I'm on the theater. But in New York, she loved going to plays, and with me. And she's very much involved with the stuff that I do, and I get involved with what she does. So it works out fine. I mean, I wish she was here, but she's not feeling well.
No,
I
well,
wish she
next-
would have liked to have been
next
here.
You know what? Next time you come in, bring in Carson and bring in Natalie,
Yeah.
and so forth. I
Natalie,
work with
very proud of Natalie.
Yeah, I work with his daughter with BCCA, who's a frequent guest on our show. Tad Parsons coming back in
Yeah,
again, and
right.
they're all geeked up with One San Diego. I know you've heard of all those
Yeah.
things because of Natalie and that aspect of it. So did you when you grew up, were your parents in the medical field?
No.
Okay.
You mentioned curiosity. I got involved with medicine by early on when I was reading about, and knew I wanted to be an oncologist when I was like in high school.
Interesting.
Because I started reading about, I think one of my cousins died of cancer.
Right.
And I was trying to understand, well, what is cancer? And then I realized most people didn't know what it was.
Right.
And I got very, very curious about trying to understand that disease. And it drove me to go into medicine and become an oncologist.
Was there
very early in life?
Was there a certain type of cancer that you were focused on, or just as a whole?
I actually was focused more on cancer of the lymphatic system, lymph system, lymphoma. The cousin that died of Hodgkin's disease, which is a form of that cancer.
Right.
But as an attending physician at UCSD, I got involved with many cancers. But my specialty was more lymphoma, cancer of the lymph glands.
Right.
So.
One of the things, and listen, unless you were on a different spaceship, we're having some discussions in San Diego County about funding for the arts.
Right.
That's an understatement of the world in that aspect of it. But I'm going to use that as a whole, just because of my background, being honored to grow up in a medical family, of how important in UCSD and UCLA, top of their game when it comes to this. But research is so important, and research dollars are just so critical, especially in the Hybritech and all that business. And I try to communicate to people: listen, it's not cheap. It costs a lot of money, but you don't know what you're going to discover that's going to help 65,000 other things. Talk about how important that is.
Oh, it's extremely important. And what's really important is that early seed money, or money when you have an idea and you want to start and you want to develop that idea. There's very little. It's very hard to get those dollars. So
correct.
Seed grants are really important, and I think more and more institutions are trying to figure out a way to get those funds, because you can't get those from the government. When you apply for government funding, you have to have the data already. Well, how do you get the data?
Right.
So I equate it to this. I remember back in the day, us early journalists would want to sit there. How do I get work for a major metro as a daily? Well, you need 5 years of daily experience.
Exactly.
How do I get 5 years of daily experience?
You have to follow it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, wait a minute here. I'm going to be 106 years old, and I'm finally going to get that. And the same thing with the research in this area. Kristen, what other questions do you have for our guest?
Well, of course, I want to go back to the play.
Please, absolutely.
We got the theater. We got two different.
Yeah,
just like
exactly.
my wife and I.
Yeah. So, what has been the most challenging or the most rewarding of going through this process with the Cutter experience? Is it experiment or experience? Experiment? Tell me the name of the
Cutter
play.
incident.
Incident. Thank you.
Incident.
Yeah,
Incident.
different vowel I had.
Yeah.
So, what's been the most challenging?
Well, we're
about
still in the early stages of
Yeah.
this process. And there is, I think the most challenging thing is when we all have different opinions about what should be in that play and what rewrites might be necessary. And I have to hand it to our director, Des McAnuff. He says, look, just if you have an opinion with you and your partners, the producing partner, I have 2 producing partners.
Yeah.
Funnel it through me. I'll be the one that figures it out and takes it to the writer, because I don't want you bombarding the author
Yes.
at all time. But getting the play right, because it's a much longer story. But the reason I got involved with this Cutter incident is that one of my friends from Stanford wrote the authoritative biography of Jonas Salk. It was published after 6 years of research, and so I licensed that book, optioned that book for the play.
Okay.
So I had, and there was so much that one could choose from to put in the play to learn more about Jonas Salk, and it's a big struggle to figure out: is this really about Salk, or is it about this historical incident?
Right.
And the writer and the director decided that no, this is a historical drama about an incident. You cannot capture all of the issues related to the life of Jonas Salk.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, so this has been challenging, dealing with all that issue, and and also negotiating with the author his what we call the commission for writing the play was very challenging.
Sure.
And I can't go into, we don't have time to go into
Yeah,
detail.
of course. What's been the most rewarding about this process?
Rewarding so far was seeing a draft of a play that really looked good, that Jessica Stone, the new artistic director of the play, said, I really like this. And going to the reading and hearing actors, real actors reading the parts.
Yes.
It became alive, and it's pretty. That part's really exciting. So I feel optimistic for the future, and I think we can't wait to see it at the world premiere at the Jolla Playhouse.
How much is the Salk Institute tied in on this?
They loved the idea. They were desperately concerned about is Jonas going to be portrayed positively.
Right.
There was a lot of negative stuff said about Jonas in the past.
Yeah.
And when I met with Gerald Joyce, the CEO of the Salk, and I said, it looks really good. It makes Jonas look like a hero. You're going to love it. So he was so happy to hear that. He said, if there's anything we can do to help, just let me know. So I mean, they would love, and I think they'll be open to doing a reading or an interview or something like this between the author and the director at the Salk Institute, for example.
Well, maybe we'll have to make a trip over there.
Maybe we can get them in here.
I would. Well, listen, that's what we do. We have folks coming on that quite a bit. We're talking to Ivor Royston. He is the managing member of Carson Royster Group, a very diversified background when it comes to medical oncology, it comes to biotech, it comes to theatrical performances, joined by my co-host Kristen Fogel, equally as diversified. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers Inc. on this. I know you cannot wait to see this play when it comes out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, La Jolla Playhouse is just, top of its game. They're them in the globe. I'm always excited to see what innovation they can come up with on stage. So yeah, I can't wait to go.
Yeah, very good. So we're toward the end of our podcast here. First of all, A++ is a rookie podcaster. Are you kidding me? I'm just gonna have you take over my show over here. I'm gonna sit in your seat over there. I really appreciate it. Any final comments you'd like to make?
No, I've enjoyed this first experience.
Good.
And you've asked good questions.
Well, listen, I've only been doing this for a billion years, but we're only as good as the guest. And,
it's hard to compress everything into a few minutes.
It's great content on it. Kristen, any final comments from you?
No, I'm excited to see the show. I'm excited you came on, and hopefully you'll come back.
Well, I'm going to look forward to you coming back. If you can come back with your bride.
We'll do it with my bride next time.
And would Natalie want to come?
Maybe with Natalie too. Huh?
Well, let's make sure all three of them come out. Royston, really appreciate this. An iconic figure in San Diego County for many different reasons. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things for people in San Diego County. And to our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.